Audio. Sound check, mic test, 1, 2. Testing microphones, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Yeah, but we are turning off the music. The music. I said the music. The music. Good night. sisters and brothers of Annsgrove, and welcome to this meeting of the APNU and the Working People's Alliance. We have come to speak with you as the WPA because we believe it is important that some things be said, particularly to a number of people who seem not to understand at the critical juncture at which we are at this moment. And I am happy to see you here. I believe that most of you here are converted. You understand what you need to do. You understand the precarious conditions under which we have existed for over 28 years and not 5, as they pretend and try to tell us that everything about the PPP is from 2020 to 2025. But there are lots of our people who lack the focus that you might have. And so we want to bring a message to them so that they would understand that 2025, September 1, can be the turning point, and it must be the turning point for the betterment of the young people of this country and for the future of Guyana as a whole. It does appear that many of them are going to cause us to lose this moment because they do not understand the role that they have to play in making a reality possible for Guyana to do good for them. And so we are here to talk with you with the hope that you will take the message to the young folks and to some of the older ones who are misguided about their role in aiding us to get rid of this scourge that is upon our nation, the Jack Deal and the Afanales and those who have no interest in the people of this country except for the interest of themselves and their friends and their families. And so it is our duty to ensure that the plans that they have are derailed. And we have to begin with GECOM because GECOM is the seat of their deceit. You will excuse me because I have a little cold, but I could not stay away because I believe it's important that we talk and we understand what the stakes are and how our future can be affected if we do not do the right thing. Now, GECOM is a cesspool led by a chairwoman whom we must call out and whom we must condemn for not being a person of Guyana, but being a PPP acolyte. Only today, Brother London from Linden pointed out that there are 100 persons and more registered to one address in industry. 100 persons living at one address. Thank you. And we are aware of these false registrations that they've been doing. They have been doing it on the East Coast, on the East Bank, bringing people from Region 2, Region 3, and Region 5, and having them register in Region 4. With some of them, when they go to the agents of GECOM to register, not even remembering the addresses that they were told to give to those agents. And so the PPP mischief makers have to be running up and down to tell them or remind them of what address they should use. We have heard only recently about one individual whose name was registered using another person's identity. It is only after that man went to GECOM to see whether his registration was in order that he discovered that somebody else was using his name, a different photograph to his ID number. And so we have to deal with GECOM, and we have to make them know and make Claudette Singh know that whatever she and GECOM are planning, that it will not go down well in this country. In 2020, they stormed the GECOM, and she ran in a room and refused to come out. She hid. She was afraid then, but she has been emboldened now to engage in mischief and to allow the PPP to engage in corruption within GECOM. And so we have to be ready for war, because we're not going to take it so. And they got to understand that we are not going to take it. And so all of you have to set your minds ready to wage war against the PPP, because they intend to rig. And it's no small rigging that they're talking about. Nonetheless, they're already preaching about 2/3 majority in Parliament. And the 2/3 majority will give them the opportunity to change the Constitution and to do whatever they want with it, so that the laws can favor them even more. They are already aided in their mischief by the honorable lady who sits in the court and who finds it convenient at all times to give decisions that go against the grain of common sense and continue to put us in a bind that will allow the PPP to do whatever skullduggery they want. The reason why they can register people in whatever fashion and wherever they want doing these double registration is because of the court's decision that there is no residency requirement for people who are being registered. In the old days, a GECOM would have come to check to see if the address that you have given is the address where you live. And they will check for you one day, and check another day, and check another day. And if they could not find you at that address, then you were deemed not living there. The lady said that ain't necessary. And so anybody could register anywhere. And the PPP has been using that to bring people from all regions because they want to win Region 4. Only today the news tells us that the Honorable Madam, throughout the case that was brought by Christopher Ram and another legal person, saying that they were against the constitutional, the provisions in the Constitution for proportional representation were not being followed and so on. She said it's not a matter that is prudent, and the case was thrown out. So every area that we seek hope for or from in our Constitution is being cast aside. It began in 2020 with a recount that should not have been. And since then, the Constitution has been boxed here and there and tossed there, and has been putting us in a situation where we are more and more becoming slaves to the PPP. It is regrettable, and we have a way of saying that the decisions of the court must not be condemned. But too many of these decisions are of a concern to us as a people, and we have to talk about it. You see, I want to really deal with the people who seem to believe that the APNU is not the movement that they should vote for come September 1. And lots of these are young people who have no sense of our collective history, and they have no proper understanding of what the future will be for them if they do not do the right thing. And a lot of them are thinking only of getting, but not of sacrificing. They want things easy, not a problem. But how do you get it? I'm speaking about those who were saying that they're not voting for APNU because when APNU had a chance, it didn't do anything for them. There is no political party, it doesn't matter how bad it is, that will not do anything for a people. There are things that the APNU did do, but their focus was not in our direction as we would have wanted them to be focused. And so lots of us are indeed angry. And that anger was expressed in 2020 when a multitude of people who supported the APNU did not go and vote. And they did not vote, and they saw the PPP coming to power, aided by the United States, Pompeo, and the likes, and the Caribbean Court of Justice. But having seen the past 5 years and what the PPP has done to us and to the country, one would have thought that their senses would have been opened and they would realize that enough is enough and that the PPP has no right in governing them for another 5 years. But they're not seeing it that way. They believe that manna will fall from heaven and fall into their hands so they will get it. I spoke to a student of mine. I was telling the people at Victoria, and I asked him, who are you voting for in the elections? And he said he's voting for Muhammad. So I said, why are you voting for Muhammad? His response was, Muhammad does give people things. Muhammad does give people things. So their view is that they're going to get things from Muhammad. He's been giving. He has been giving. I understand a friend from Georgia was telling me that 50 odd motorcycles rolled up at one pump station. And he told the pump attendant to fill all of them. All of the motorcycles were filled with gasoline and so on. And a lot of money has been going around. Of course, they were promised $50,000 to be part of the launch, the day when the lists were handed in, and we saw a dog beating up a woman with a gun because the 50 turned to 5. But they're not even learning from that. That is a massive act of deception. If you can lie to me before you're the empowered, a big lie like that, 50 to 5, what are you going to do when you actually get power? But they don't care because they're getting and they want to get. The fact is, many of our young people do not want to sacrifice and to work to achieve. They want to sit down and let things fall in their laps so that they can live like kings. Yes. Now, what we have to understand, we have to speak with them because they're misguided. All right? And you who are parents of these young people, you who are elders in the community, you have to sit down and reason with them. Because in my scheme of things, Mohammed is part of a bigger plan of deception that is geared towards taking votes from the APNU so that the PPP will land right back in power. And when that happens, more of our young men and women will be killed. More of the resources will be used to fill the pockets of a few. We'll continue to see prices rising, and we will see our ability to feed ourselves being reduced further and further. We will see our education system continue pouring young people into the streets who can hardly read and write. We will see mediocre people being put into the nursing profession who will put our lives at risk because they are not qualified enough to take care of us. And we will continue to see the decline within our society. We also run the risk of becoming a great minority in this country because the PPP has already planned to bring from Bangladesh and India and Pakistan and those places a horde of persons who will eventually make us, our numbers, look minuscule. They have already begun advertising in those countries, and with those countries, they are part of the British Commonwealth. And they can only live here for 1 year, and after a year, they will have the right to vote. And so they are not seeing this picture because they do not understand that Mohammed will not win the elections. The only challenge to the PPP in these elections is the APNU. And when votes are taken from the APNU and are given to Mohammed, it means that the ability of the APNU to win the resounding victory that it should is going to be reduced. Now, if you look at what has been happening since Mohammed came on the scene, you question why all his incursions were primarily in African communities. Why was he targeting the Annsgrove? He came here, all Boys Town, and all those areas, targeting our young people and making them feel that gifts are the way to go. And they have fallen for it. That is the sad thing. Because they do not understand that after the elections, that Mohammed is not going to come to Annsgrove. Even if he comes once after, he's not going to come every month and put bread on your table. What you need is a government that will look after your interests and ensure that as a people, you are taken care of in ways that will make your lives sustainable. And the APNU has put forward those plans for making people's lives better. And all of the plans that the APNU has put forward in its manifesto, we see them copying and trying to say that they're going to do better. We propose 35% increase for public servants. Jack Dio, like the last time, promised 50. Now Mohammed is promising 50. But we know that they are not going to deliver on their promise. Have we gotten 50% increase from Jack Dio? Has our lives been better under the PPP from 2020 to now 2025? And every good thing that they could have possibly done, they are now making it appear that they will do it. Imagine Irfan Ali and Jack Dew telling us that they, in the next government, will reduce the cost of living and will ensure that prices in the markets are going to be manageable for people to buy. They had 5 years to do it. We have been complaining every year, and they have been doing nothing. Suddenly they have farmers markets, and when you go to these markets, it's no different from any other market. It's the same price. Nothing is cheaper. My wife went to Luziknan for some of those things. Waste of time. They're promising to make public servants' lives better. They don't want to do that because they know that poverty is a weapon that allows them to use the likes of Muhammad to go into African communities and to throw a little pittance at young black boys and girls and make them believe that God has arrived. So poverty is what they have used. Now the deception is so glaring that when the GRA announced that it was going to seize the motor vehicles from Mohammed, it was already known to Mohammed that they were going to be there. The crowd that displayed did not come off the streets, did not hear about the customs officers turning up at Muhammad and then rushed down there to pretend that they were fighting with him. They all came from inside his compound. They were already there. The setup was already made and the scheme was already planned. So they came out with a noise and all of these things, saying you can't take the vehicle and so on. How did they get in there? If GRA really wanted to take the vehicle, would Muhammad have known? It's part of the plan to deceive us and to deceive our young minds. I'm saying that as soon if, and we know, and the PPP, if they get back to power, that all of these accusations that they've been making of Muhammad will disappear. They will disappear because it's part of a plan to reduce the voting strength of the APN. And so we have to let the young people know, understand their folly, and understand that a better life is for them under the APN. I hear a lot of them, you know, they went to Buxton and I heard youngsters saying that they vexed with the APNU, that Granger didn't give them nothing. You vex, it doesn't mean that the APNU is David Granger. The APNU is an organization, it's a movement. Granger played his part. He has moved off the scene. Whatever sufferings or ill feelings we might have had with Granger, we have a new vision, a new leader who is more focused and who understands our people better. He did not grow up in a middle-class household. He came from the grassroots like all of us and understand the people like we all do. And so you cannot say or crucify the APNU for Granger and what he did or what he did not do. But I even looked at one of my colleagues from Buxton who benefited from the Granger administration. I was chairman of the Buxton Falls Neighborhood Democratic Council when we gave out over 400 acres of land in the backland through a project that was initiated by the APNU at that time. The young man is still farming there, bringing out planting and so on every day to sell. He got back into farming and he's making money off it. Yet, he stood up to say that APNU do not. They could have done more. Their focus was outside the African community, but you cannot say that Aubrey Norton and the APNU now will do the same thing. We have a better vision for you, and we understand what needs to be done to level the playing field, because the playing field right now is not level. We are suffering, and we will continue to suffer. It is only now that the PPP likes black people. For 5 years, they didn't know that black people needed contracts and so on. All of a sudden, they're rushing into the communities, giving the young people contracts. And when they give you the contract, there are conditions attached, which makes the money go back into the pockets of the acolyte. They tell you to build a road. They tell you where you must buy the stone. They tell you who you must get the excavator from to dig out the channeling for the road. They tell you everything that you must do. Once you have to spend, where you must spend it, so that the money goes back to there people. And when you're done, you get a little pittance left. You got to give the person that helped you get the contract a raise. And some of them calling for big money. And so we have to tell those young people that they should not fear losing contracts when the APNU takes government. They will get contracts that are sustainable, that will allow them to receive fair compensation for the work that they do. And these contracts are not going to be contracts for digging out dirty drains and giving 18 people a stretch of road and that time. You have no fear if you do the right thing. Don't let them fool you. Because once they get back there, you will have to wait another 5 years for them to come again with another lie to fool you. Because they believe that we are stupid. And sometimes we give them, we give them the things to make us look stupid. And we have to stop it. Put on the jersey, go to all the rallies as they compel you to. But when you are in the box, it's you, God, the pen, and the ballot paper. And you know what to do. Because this is your future. The future for Guyanese and all Guyanese. We're not talking about people of Annsgrove alone. The APNU is not a government for Black people alone. It is a government for Guyana. Because we see Guyana as one people, one nation, with one destiny. The PPP does not have that vision. And so I am urging you to speak to those young people. Otherwise, we will lose the moment. Imagine they're talking about Muhammad. They don't understand what running a country takes. Muhammad has no sense of what he needs to do to run a country. He cannot sit down in front of the media to answer questions about his own manifesto, which he paid people to prepare. Because he doesn't have the knowledge of economics to deal with economics at a macro level, at the level of a country. And the young people got to understand that after the elections, he ain't gonna go. He has not done it. That he gonna reach all of them in the corners where the line in and come and put money in their hand, giving them things. So speak to them. We have a month left. Educate them and let them know and understand that when they help to defeat the APN, they are defeating themselves. We have experiences to learn from. Every time recently that there are elections, there is a fallout with the PPP. In 2020, Ralph Ramkaran had a fallout with the PPP. He formed Apnu, an organization with Schumann and them. Apnu got one seat in parliament. And they got the deputy speaker in Schumann and so on. The one seat was never a seat for the people. It was a seat for the PPP. And Mohammed, when he gets his seats in parliament, it will not be seats for the people. Those seats will be for the people. And they don't understand. They're not seeing that. They can't see the deception. They are not reading right because the vision is clouded by getting things. And so we got to open their eyes and let them understand that the future is going to be very dim for them. Because a lot of those who are shouting Muhammad and Muhammad are the ones who enjoy their small businesses and go corner and so on. And those are the ones that the police will turn up, sent by the PPP to gun down. And there will be no proper investigation. They will only hear that it will be, but no results will come. So our salvation right now is the APM. And come September, you know what to do. Vote for the path. With us, another speaker this evening. He hails from Bedford, and he has been fighting for the people of Bedford to prevent the land grabbing that the PPP enjoys. And that is one thing that we don't even understand. That once they get back here, they're going to come and take away the land. They've done it in Mokka and they've done it in other places. Give them 5 more years and see the true colors. All the lands at the back and so on. They said the passing roads. No person from Annsgrove for 300 meters from the road will have a piece of land. So right through where the roads are, those prime lands are going to go to people who are of the PPP. And that is their plan. They've passed the law already that gives the minister the right to come and to see your piece of land and to say, I want this for the government. I'm going to give you $10 for it. If you don't want the $10, you could go to court, but I could still go ahead and do what I got to do with your land. And the court cannot take it back from them, but can only determine whether you should get a little more money or not. That is the law that they have passed, and they are going to use it criminally against us. So there are lots of things that these young people don't understand. And so they got to, I mean, my colleagues are telling me I'm being too brutal, but sometimes you got to be brutal to get the results. You got to give them a shock treatment so that they understand that this is not a joke, this is seriousness. You're dealing with criminals, you're dealing with murderers. And what we are saying here is saving them from their own death and destruction. And we can't put it in any fancy language. You gotta tell them as plain as it is. Let them understand. If they don't follow, then when the hammer comes down, they can't come to you and say, we didn't know because you don't tell me. Brother Elton McRae, put your hands together for him as he talks.
Good night, Annsgrove. Annsgrove, good night. Now, the brother said I'm from BV. We in BV, as you know, had some issues with land. And the lands I'm talking about are the same kind of lands that you have at the in your back dam. I want to go back a bit in history. You know, many of us grew up hearing black people can't do business. Black people don't like agriculture. I'm here to let you understand that both of those statements are false. They are false. Why I'm saying this? When our ancestors, when your ancestors first bought this ground that we are standing on, what was their intention? They intended to farm those lands, and they did farm those lands successfully. And by the way, the method they used to farm those lands was the cooperative. You know, if you look at Victoria, Victoria was formed under a cooperative. They farmed those lands in Victoria under a cooperative. Betwactin, it was a cooperative. And the records would show that all those cooperatives were very successful. And from the day they started to farm those lands, there were machinations, there were efforts to thwart to move them away from the land. If you look carefully, in many of our villages, up front, you had government taking away lands like a triumph. They said they're taking these lands from us because our DNI was not up to date. But we never controlled the DNI. The DNI in our villages were controlled by the sugar estate. When I say DNI, I'm talking drainage and irrigation. That is, they took it. Plaisance, you look up at Plaisance, the front of Plaisance is, you see government offices, post office, police station, courts. Those lands were taken away from the villages, right? Because again, they claim that the people in Plaisance, rather Sparendam, I should say, not Plaisance, did not look after the DNI, and it was El Hazard, and so they taxed the villages for that. Now, our cooperatives were so successful that what they did initially is that they prevented us from selling direct to the sugar estates where the indentured servants were working. That is, the East Indian people who were working, they had to provide food for them. We had to sell to the Portuguese. So that is the reason the Portuguese were then able, in time, to develop what we call generational wealth, because they determine what is the price of our platina cassava that they buy, and then they sold to make a profit. So if you look in each of our villages, there were Portuguese families, and Annsgrove is not different. They had Rodriguez in Annsgrove, I know of, and Moniz. These families were installed there to prevent our families from making the kind of money that they would have made. They were the ones who were given license to operate businesses, while we were not, right? So this idea of black people can't do business is false. Our cooperatives were successful businesses, right? So our affinity to land was great, right? So we did not just walk off the estate. We purchased these plantations to make our lives better. And our people continue to farm these. When I was growing up, I know Annsgrove produced a lot of mangoes. There was some carts passing up the East Coast every afternoon. In the morning, sorry, taking mangoes from Annsgrove. I know that. I used to come to a relative here, Johnny Pompey, and I used to go in the back down with Sylvester and some other relatives to pick George every morning. but they are not doing an investigation on the paper shorts issue, right? Because they know. We ordered Donna McKinnon. When Donna got killed, Mohammed himself said he had guns at Freedom House. What were his guns doing at Freedom House? Right? How many men I want to know the fact that he said he didn't get gun there means that he and them been in bed. So we have to let our young people know that the people that they are worshiping today, who they feel will bring salvation to them, are people that did their brothers and sisters and cousins and uncles are in the past. And they are likely to repeat it if given the chance. I said earlier that Mohammed has been thieving from this country. And his thieving was not no little bit of thieving, as you know. But so now, you want to give Mohammed the entire presidency. Those young people, that's what they feel. Give him the presidency. What will he do now that he would have the entire economy at his disposal? You have put cat to watch milk. He can thief everything. So let me be real. Let us be real. Tell those people that Mohammed is not an option. Don't waste your vote. Don't spoil your vote. So, Annsgrove, I'm asking you, those of you who are hearing, talk to those people you know are telling you that blue is true. Blue is not true. Get them right. Let them understand that a vote for Mohammed is a vote for the PPP. Because if they were friends then, they can become friends tomorrow. Right? Old fire would not take long to catch. Good night.
Yep. Thank you. Our next speaker is Audriana Thomas. She will speak with you. Political situation.
Thank you, Brother Dion Abrams. Like Brother Dion Abrams said, my name is Audriana Thomas. I've done a lot of public speaking in my life, but I've never, ever in my life spoken at a political rally. So this is the first time that I am delivering a speech at a political rally. So if I'm not perfect or far from perfect, I know you will understand. So I would like to talk about the 2025 elections. It's about you. You hold in your hands the power to change Guyana. You know, Sam Cooke sang this song. It's been a long time coming. Change is gonna come. It's been too long coming, but change is gonna come. I know I'm not a singer-writer, but it's been a long time coming, and change has to come September 1st. But the change can't come except you ensure that you, your neighbor, everybody who you know, go out on the 1st of September and vote for the APNU. Okay? And I'll tell you what, the PPPC is a better opposition party than a better party in government. So what are we going to do on September 1st? Put them back where they perform best, in the opposition. Am I right? The PNC and the opposition parties in government. So what are we going to do come September 1? Put them back in government. I'm not hearing you. Come on, talk to me. Talk to me quietly. So Guyana has had for a long time two problems. Guyana has had a money problem and a leadership problem. With oil, we have solved the money problem, but we still have the leadership problem. So come 1st of September, you, the people of Guyana, have an opportunity to solve our leadership problem and put the APNU into government as better leaders as the PPP, than the PPP rather. Am I right? Yes. So here what you'll do come 1st September, when the APNU becomes the new government, PPP is good at construction. They can employ them as construction to do road construction, drainage, and so on. Right? PPP has become one big construction company. They're not good at governance, they're not good at leadership, but they're good at building, well, not building quality roads, but building roads. So come 1st of September, we will put the APNU in government. They're better at leadership and governance, and we'll give the PPP a couple of contracts to do roads and drains and so on. What do you think? Yeah. Are you with me? Yeah. Are you with me? Yeah. Great. So on the 1st of September, what you will do, it's like you're pressing a reset button, right? And we're going to reset Guyana. I was telling somebody that I love the Guyanese people because what the Guyanese people are doing with these elections, you're resetting Guyana, right? This train has gone off course. And before we get a train wreck, you will reset Guyana. Am I right? Yes. Come on, you got to be responsible too. This is a democracy and you're members in the democracy. And as members in this democracy, you have roles and responsibilities. So you got to talk to me. Okay? Yeah. So come the 1st of September, Aubrey Norton will do what he has to do. David Hines will do what he has to do. Brother Kadaki and Brother Dion Abrams, they will do what they have to do. But remember I said it's a democracy. And in a democracy, we have roles and responsibilities. So while they have their roles and responsibilities as leaders, you also have your roles and responsibilities to ensure that you go and vote. APNU. Vote APNU, exactly. So you vote APNU because remember, Guyana needs better leadership. Okay? Yeah. So, I didn't write a speech or anything, so I'm just going to flow. So my first point is that this elections is about you. You have the power in your hands to reset Guyana. The other point I'd like to make is that, are you happy with Guyana? Yeah. Are you happy with Guyana? With how things are going? No. And so the next question is, what do you want? Is this the Guyana that you want? No. Well, then you have an opportunity come 1st September to have the Guyana that, or to help to shape the Guyana that you want. Are you going to do that? Yes. Or are you going to leave here tonight and don't show up on the 1st of September? Somebody told me that they already pressed their clothes to go and vote. So they said they already pressed the clothes and they hang it up. They say, like long ago when you're living in the countryside and you're going to town, Whole night you're looking at your clothes that you're gonna wear the next day. So somebody told me that they already pressed their clothes because they can hardly wait for September 1st to go and cast their vote. The other thing I'd like to say to you is that so that is what you have to do on September 1st. But you have to become so passionate about wanting this change. I don't think we're passionate enough. And you have to get your neighbors and your friends and your family, get them passionate enough, because nothing is achieved without passion. Okay? So you got to be passionate about this change. We have to be passionate about the change on 1st of September, but we also have to be prepared to do the work after 1st of September. Yes. Then it can be better. We've been better. And so we must not accept what the PPP is offering us as governance and leadership as normal. This is not normal. It is not normal for all of these people, for example, who you see the state agencies are going after. Let's say the cybercrime, the ERC, they're using the Cybercrime Act to go after people. They're using GRA to go after people. They're using the state agencies almost like a curse. These state agencies are supposed to bless the people, not curse them. So what we need, so this is not normal. So we need a government that will not use the state agencies to oppress its people, but rather that will use the state agencies to help to build and develop the people of this country. Yes. So we must not accept what we're experiencing now from how the PPPC government is using the state agencies as normal. So we're saying to the APNU, when you get into government, we want a government that would respect our humanity, that would respect our human dignity. We want a government that will behave with more integrity. And it's almost like the PPPC government, they've even stopped trying. They have even stopped trying to do what is right. So we need a government that is going to understand that the sustainable development of the country and of the people depends on institutions such as the Guyana Police Force that is operating with integrity, such as the Guyana Revenue Authority, such as the other agencies operating with integrity. And so we have to fix the Guyana Police Force. We have to fix the Guyana Revenue Authority. We have to fix the judiciary. We have to fix the everything. Somebody say you're right. We have to fix everything. But I also want to say to you that, it's almost like the PPP, they just stood on themselves. Let's talk about GECOM. Now, guys, the PPP would say that GECOM is their area, it's their thing. But do you know the APNU and AFC government made 2 to 3 times more sugar? I hope the sugar workers are listening to me. They made 2 to 3 times more sugar than the PPPC got from 2016 to 2020, than the PPPC government made from 2021 to 2025. So even sugar, that is the PPP thing, the APNU and the AFC government performed better at. We saw better leadership, better governance. The sugar industry made $200 million more from 2016 to 2020 than what they made from 2021 to 2025. And the sugar industry did that from 2016 to 2020 with less money than what the sugar industry is getting now. You know how much sugar they produced for the first crop this year? 15,000 tons of sugar. Albion alone used to produce 20,000 tons of sugar for the first crop. With 7 estates, the PPPC government produced 15,000 tons, not 7, sorry, 5 estates. They produced 15,000 tons of sugar for the first crop. They're wasting our monies. They are wasting our monies. Put the APNU into government, and again, we will see the sugar industry, the sugar production going up with less money than what they're using now. APNU and AFC government were operating 3 estates, Blairmont, Iflot, and Albion. And they were making 2 to 3 times more sugar than what the PPPC government is making with Rose Hall, partly Skeldon, Iflot, Blairmont, and Albion. So that is an example of an area, the sugar industry, we know that's PPPC constituency, one of their main constituencies, and they care. All they care about is the oil money and the money in the natural resources fund. They don't even care about the sugar industry anymore. But the APNU care about the sugar industry. The APNU and the AFC, they cared about the sugar industry from 2016 to 2020. That's why they produce 2 to 3 times more sugar than what is being produced now. So I hope the sugar workers hearing me, and they will vote for the APNU also, so that the production will go up. The business people, the private sector, I hope the private sector listening, because when the APNU and AFC government made over 200 million US dollars more in the sugar industry, that means that the more foreign exchange was in the country. Sugar is one of the few things. Ghana can produce a lot of things, but there are very few things that we can produce that would bring in foreign exchange. And sugar is one of those things. So the private sector that is always supporting the PPPC government, they now have to come September 1st, think strategically, because the APNU government produce or not produce, they earn 200 million US dollars more from 2016 to 2020 than what the PPPC government earned from 2021 to 2025. So the private sector also has to think very strategically come 1st of September and vote for who? Vote for who? I hope the private sector is listening, right? To the young people. I want to say, hello, Annsgrove. Annsgrove in the house. Let me hear you. Annsgrove in the house. That's the best you could do. Let me hear you. Okay. So I want to talk about the young people and to the young people. We've heard a lot about, the young people being misguided, etc., etc., etc. And one of the reasons that you also need to, we also need to get the APNU back into government is because one of the things that APNU will do is to develop sustainable programs for our young people. I remember as a child growing up, our education system was top notch. We had all sorts of activities. We had Girl Guides, we had Boy Scouts, I was in the Young Brigade and National Cadet Corps. There were so many opportunities for our young people. So voting the APNU back into leadership will allow us to charter a more sustainable and structured way for our young people. Our young people today, this people's PC government, don't even want us to say the pledge, the national anthem. How can you build a country with diverse groups of people and diverse cultures without developing nationhood? And that nationhood starts with our young people. I remember going to school, we used to do national policy. You remember national policy? National policy in primary school, right? In primary school, you were taught what is the focus of the country. Can anybody here tell me what's the focus of the country under the PPPC? Corruption. That's the focus of the country. So the other thing, I need somebody to tell me how much more time I have. But the other thing is for the young people, and this is not just for the young people. I think Guyana has become unnecessarily corrupt. And it's almost like people are just corrupt because it's easy to be corrupt. And that has to change under an APNU and AFC, under an APNU government. Excuse me, old habits die hard. And so what we need to do under an APNU government is to develop pathways for people to come out of poverty into the middle class, to achieve wealth, and show them that they can do that honestly and with integrity. There are enough resources in Guyana for us to develop pathways, economic pathways for the people of this country to progress, to move from poverty to a place of wealth and into the middle class. And that is another thing that under the APNU and AFC leadership will be done. And so I think that you know what you want. What you want is a different Guyana, a better Guyana. But you cannot have that better Guyana and a different Guyana except come September 1st. You go out there and vote for the APNU. The other thing, let me ask you a question. Can you spend the next 5 years under a PPPC government? No. Let me ask you again, can you spend the next 5 years under this PPPC government? No. You know, I saw in the media today that somebody was saying that the PPP will get a 2/3 majority. 10 seats more. Well, I'm telling you tonight that our goal must be for them to get 10 seats less. Yes. Okay? Could you imagine if the PPC is doing the God enough with a 1-seat majority? You could imagine what they can do with a 2/3 majority? Huh? So, like what Abrams was saying, if the PPC if they get a 2/3 majority, it will allow them to change the constitution. It would allow them to change, like for example, today I was talking about the right to an inheritance. And the right to an inheritance falls under Article 20 of the Constitution. If they have a 2/3 majority, they can change that article to maybe some kind of conditional, make the right to an inheritance conditional instead of guaranteed. Guaranteed, all they have to do is change one word. The right to an inheritance is conditional. Instead of, it is guaranteed. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful that about who we give power to and power over our lives. We've seen what has happened over the past 5 years. We've seen what happened at Maka. We have never seen anything in this country like what happened at Maka. Broke down those people, the homes, broke down their homes, buried their animals. And the people only had a one-seat majority, you know. You could imagine if they got a 2/3 majority. So I'm going to wrap up here, but I leave you with some key points. One is this election is about you. It's not about Aubrey Norton. It's not about David Hines. It's about you. And so therefore you have to show up on the 1st and vote for a difference for you and your children and your family. The second point I leave with you is that Ghana, we've solved our money problem. We now need to solve the leadership problem. And the APNU and AFC government will solve that leadership problem. And the third, sorry, not AFC, all habits die hard, sorry. It's the APNU government, sorry. And the third point I'd like to leave with you is that remember that you can't spend another 5 years under the XPVBC government. And so, come September 1st, you have to vote so overwhelmingly that even the court can't fix it. Am I right? So ensure that come 1st September, the votes are so overwhelming and the win is so convincing that even the court can't fix it. Thank you very much. All right, have a wonderful evening and vote APNU. And like Aubrey Norton would say, for Guyana to grow, have a good night and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Sister Audriana, for your informative speech. But I had a nice place, yes, because policemen got to wait 5 years for 2,000 of them to get promotion. And then after this year, another 5 years. I'm coming to speak with you. Don't let me get between you and me.
Greetings, Annsgrove, greetings. Well, I'm like, I ain't like, greetings, Annsgrove. Thank you for your permission to speak with you tonight. Residents of Annsgrove and neighboring communities, I don't intend to be long with you tonight, but I intend to point out some things that are wrong, perhaps within the community of Annsgrove. And you might be able to determine why they are the way they are. And when you make that determination, you will also be able to determine whether or not the PPP is a solution. You will be able to determine whether or not you want things to remain the way they are. The first thing I want to look at Annsgrove is your marketplace. Look at your market. That's your market. Right? But I want you to walk with me from Annsgrove and go to Lusignan and tell me what you see there as a market. It's a well-covered space, toilet facilities, etc., and police outposts. Don't miss that one. And then I want you to leave Lusignan and go also to Monrepo and tell me what they have there for a market. And if you didn't know, brothers and sisters of Annsgrove, let me tell you that the Monrepo market is in its third phase. It is a third phase for the development of the Annsgrove, the Monrepo market. The first market that was done, my understanding, it was done under the APNU government, or definitely the PNC government. And then the people at Monrepo, once the PPP was in office, said, we don't like this. Break it down and build me a bigger market. And they built them a bigger market. And even when they built them a bigger market, they said to the PPP, we don't like how you do this section, break it down and fix it. And they broke it down and fixed it. And now they are at the